All right, last section is 6.6. We're going to be solving. We're solving exponential equations and logarithmic equations.
At the same time?
We're going to start with 100 to the x equals 1/10 to the x minus 3. And not all of them are going to work out so nicely like this one. This one I actually can do without a calculator. Okay? Not all of them you'll be able to do without a calculator. This one I will be able to do without a calculator. Do you guys notice how there's like 100 and a 1/10, and
yes.
I'm thinking powers of 10. Are you thinking of powers of 10? So I'm thinking of powers of 10. I'm thinking like 10 to the second. Oops. I'm thinking 10 to the second, but there's already an x up there. I better keep it up there.
10 to the negative 1.
And I'm thinking 10 to the negative 1, but there's a x minus 3 up there, which means I have to multiply the powers. Because not everybody owns the second thing, but you can use common sense here. But I'm going to do it with logarithms, but you can. What do we know about the exponents? Like, they're going to be equal to each other. They have the same base. I'm going to use logarithms, but that's the common sense part. Okay, so to do logarithms, I need to cancel out a base of 10. How do I cancel out a base of 10?
Log base 10.
Log. Log both sides. I'm going to log both sides. I'm going to have log. Negative x plus 30. So when I log base 10 of 10, they cancel. I get 2x equals negative x plus 3. Add my x. 3x equals 3. X equals 1. So I've already taught you how to cancel out the 10. We're just doing it by actually solving now. So question B. This one's not going to be as easy because there is not a 2 and a 7 that have like powers that make them the same like this side did. Right? This one was, I think it was kind of obvious we're looking for 10s with the 100 and the 10. Over here, 2 and 7, they don't go together. What do I need to solve for?
X.
And x is in the exponent, which means I need to get rid of a base of 2.
So would it just be x equals log base 2, 7? Is that it?
Yes, but I'm going to show the work to get there. So we're going to do log base 2 to both sides. I'm going to do log base 2 to both sides because whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. Log base 2 to both sides. That cancels out. We get x equals log base 2 of 7. Now that I cannot do in my head. I do need to do it on the calculator. For those of you that don't have the log or the log base option under math, you're going to have to do change of base formula to get it. So what you'll type in if you need to do change of base, you'll do log 7 divided by log 2. If you don't have to do change of base formula, good for you.
But do you have to do that?
That's which calculator you have. I don't know. Do it on your calculator and tell me the answer.
I use yours.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Is it actually?
I don't know. I didn't type it yet.
I literally just took the X.
2.107.
2.807.
Whoa!
Hold up.
How'd you get 8?
You type it in your calculator, and then numbers pop up, and then 8's in the number.
Okay, so I typed this in my calculator. Did you?
I did. Log base 2 of 7.
You did not. You did log of 14, or you did log base 2 times 7. I'm not quite sure what you did.
Okay, so how do you do that then?
You type this into your calculator.
No, I thought you could just do the log base 2 of 7.
If you have it on your calculator, I don't know if you have it. He should be doing this on his calculator more often to find out if he can do it on his calculator.
Where do I go?
Math.
I'm in math.
Go up. He's already gone down. You do have log base A. Okay, no matter what method you use, if you didn't get 2.807, you aren't typing in your calculator right. Who needs help?
You're right, Ms. Wilson.
Okay. We don't need to do every single one. Come on. We don't need to do every single one of these. Let's do 2 and 3. I didn't hear what you said. That's what I'm doing. I'm just saying we don't have to do all 3 of these. All right, number 2. What would I do to both sides so I can solve for x? What am I going to do?
Log base 7.
Log base 7 of 7 to the 9x equals log base 7
Which one are you doing, number 2?
of 15.
Yes, you do.
The one that has log base 7 of 7 to the 9x in it. Now those cancel out. I get 9x equals log base 7 of 15.
Divide by 9.
I need to divide by 9 now. Let's see if you can type it in your calculator correctly.
Oh,
0.155 after you round correctly.
what'd you get?
0.155 after rounding correctly.
Would we do this more tonight? Do you want us to round to the nearest hundred? Like every time?
Well, I've been doing thousands, but
5,000. You want us to?
No.
I like 3 decimals. It's pretty accurate.
I didn't know.
Hit second enter. Clear. Second enter. You divided. Oh, you didn't do the change of base formula. You didn't do this, Gannon. Log of 15 divided by log of 7, and then divided by 9. You have to do change of base formula on your
Use the
calculator.
percent.
Is he? Yeah, I did. Is he listening to me? I don't know.
Okay, I'm trying.
Okay, well, you're on your computer. Are you writing down on your computer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, like I'm
I was
actually
waiting
writing
to
this
try.
down.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Well, because I like that. I'm having trouble. I'm not.
Because you are not fully done with this. So we're after that 15. Well,
I got 0.154.
it thinks the next part.
This is well.
What?
So I just noticed what she did on the end of that, but I didn't do that when I was typing in my calculator. I did that.
Right, because you don't have your calculator.
Oh,
The people I'm helping, they don't have that. No, we gotta be here for the rest of those notes.
sorry.
Leaving is not an option.
It's not.
Wait, I thought we were doing number 3.
I forgot. Okay, number 3.
What?
Okay, so we gotta get x by itself. What should I do first?
Add 7.
Log base 4.
Add 7. I gotta get x by itself. After I add 7, what should I do next? divide by 4.
Is that e to the negative? Yeah.
Bro, how did I do it?
So now my next step is I have to get rid of e.
ln.
So we use ln to both sides. The next step is going to have ln e to the negative 0.3 x equals ln 5. So ln and e cancel each other out.
Divide by negative 0.3.
So I now have negative 0.3x equals ln 5. Divide by negative 0.3. You should have the correct answer. Let's do it on our calculator and make sure we're typing it in our calculator correctly.
Is that a thing too?
No, it's negative.
That's all you do.
So type it in your calculator and make sure that you also get negative 5.365-ish.
Or negative 5.
Because you did 0.03.
Thank you.
Duh.
Don't be rude.
I'm just kidding. She knows. Yeah, you're smiling.
Okay, is anybody still writing? So that is solving exponentials. We have one more solving.
And then we get to homework.
And we're not doing the word problems today. We have one more kind of solving. Solving logarithmic. There is one thing that I need to tell you and remind you when we solve logs. And you can see this by trying it on your calculator. Just type in, we'll just do regular log. Just type in your calculator log 0. Type in your calculator log 0. Enter.
Domain.
I got quit. Air domain.
Because you can't take the log of 0. You can't take the log of 0. Okay? None of these answers will be, I can't say that. None of these answers will leave you with log 0. How about do log of negative, pick any number you possibly want. Negative,
Air.
any number you possibly want.
Oh, it's a non-real answer.
Can't do it.
So, is it negative?
We cannot take the log of a negative number. We cannot do log of 0. And it doesn't matter what the base is. You can't do any base. You can't do log of 0 and you can't do log of a negative number. So that's going to help us when we are solving. So here's example 3. There's actually two. There's 2 questions here. One of them's kind of common sense, but I'm still going to solve it using math.
I got over it.
Why can't we extend the page?
This is how stuff works.
I get all the nice stuff. Sorry. All right. The example A right here. Example A. ln of 4x minus 7 equals ln of x plus 5. So I want to solve for x. There's x's on both sides of the equations. They both have ln in front of them. What cancels out ln? E. So E is a base.
It's e to all that, right?
So I have to make everything here the exponent. So I'm going to have e to the ln of 4x minus 7 equals e to the ln of x plus 5.
And since they cancel, you're just left with the 2 equations.
You're so smart, dude.
I know it.
Which is why I said this one is kind of a common sense question. Because I probably could have figured that out without knowing E. But this is why it works, because we could do E to the. And now we solved the equation.
X is
what do I
4,
get?
guys.
3x equals 12. So, spoiler alert, x is 4.
Oh man, that ruined
If
my-
I put 4 back in, for the x, will I get a negative number or a 0 right here? Or here?
No.
Because if I did, then 4 really wouldn't be an answer.
Is that how you check it with these?
Yeah, I mean, you can actually plug it back in and make sure they say the same thing, but I'm just going to check and make sure that it doesn't make
0 or
a
negative?
0 or a negative number, yeah. So you can go as far as actually, you can go check it. But I'm pretty confident with my math skills, so. I do make mistakes once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one. We've got log base 2 of 5x minus 17 equals 3. And we want to solve for x, but x has log base 2 in front of it.
Multiply by 2.
We do not multiply by.
Log base 10. Yeah, it is.
We do not multiply by 2.
Base of 2.
We make 2 a base, and then we exponentiate both sides. So if you want to say exponentiate both sides, that would be the proper way of saying it.
You have to
Sounds pretty
exponentiate both
fancy.
sides. That's correct.
Exponentiate both, and then she ate. Hopefully it was spelled right. So we're going to do 2 to the log base 2 of 5x minus 17 equals 2 to the third. And now the log's gone, so we're just solving an equation. 5x equals negative 25, is that? Just kidding, positive 25? X equals 5. Plug it back in. Let's make sure that it doesn't make anything bad happen. If I plug in 5 here, will I get a 0 or a negative number inside the log?
No.
Just making sure.
Wait, what did you get as the answer?
5. Oops, I went to
5?
5, yeah. Just trying to go back. 5.
Okay.
5.
Sorry, I was writing it down.
That's okay. Okay. So now this is the ones where you absolutely have to know what's going on. This is what you're going to see a bunch of times in your assignment tonight. So we did all this work to get to here. For real though.
Did we distribute the log?
You do not distribute the log. I don't even know what you mean by that.
Distribute the
Yeah.
log to the log base 10 to the x, log base 10 to the negative 5.
No. Do you have an idea?
Subtract 2x.
No. So log of 2x is a thing. You can't just subtract the 2x away.
Divide by 2.
Oh, I didn't see
Can't
the log.
subtract the log. Oh, you didn't see it because this word was here.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
what we need to do is we need to cancel out log,
By base of 10.
but you
Exponentiate.
can't exponentiate.
What?
You can't exponentiate.
You can't exponentiate.
No, you can. You can't exponentiate when the logarithms are in
You
separate
just said
terms.
you can. Are you saying can or
Let me
can't?
finish the sentence.
I've heard you say can't like 6 times.
And then you've interrupted me all 6 times. You cannot exponentiate if the logs are in separate terms. If they are separated by a plus or minus sign, you cannot exponentiate them separately.
This is where
This is where
you guys
you have to condense.
What?
6-5. The first
I
lesson.
know,
is.
like, I'm just saying how.
That is a good question. How? What operation do I use if I have separate logs added?
Multiplication.
So we're gonna condense this down to log of 2x times x minus 5 equals 2.
Should we put the parentheses?
Wait, where are we getting
Hello, Justin.
What?
Who's Justin?
I don't know. Stop interrupting. What was your question?
How are we getting
So we are condensing, which was our first lesson today with the properties of log, that says right here, if I have a plus sign between separate logs, I can make it into one log by multiplying 2x and x minus 5. So I'm going to multiply together 2x and x minus 5. And if you don't mind, I'll just multiply it out while we're waiting to go on.
2x
So the question that I also heard was, do you need the parentheses?
Yes.
Why?
because
There is a reason.
It is minus 10.
It is minus 10, thank you. Why do I need the parentheses though?
Wouldn't it be 10x too?
Oh, yes.
I don't know.
I'm stuck on this one question, so I can't think past that.
Is that candy for both me and Jacob? Can you point out a mistake?
Why do I need the parentheses?
because you have an equation deciding kind of, sort of, pretty much.
We don't know. I'll give you a random example. Is this down to or right to transformation?
Right to.
We don't know.
Well, we should know because there's no
Okay.
parentheses. As soon as I do this, it is now a
Left to.
right to.
It's a left to right thing, that was.
Oh, right to.
Right. So the parentheses are important because that's telling you where the end of the log is. So yes, put the parentheses in.
Are we gonna have to graph these somehow?
You asked why I need a parentheses.
I know, but I was just asking.
All right, so now we're going to solve this. Well, we're still not going to solve it because we can't yet. We got to get rid of the log. How do we get rid of log?
10.
Base.
Exponentiate
We're
by
going to
10.
exponentiate with a base of 10. We're going to put 10 to the both sides. So I'm going to do 10 to the log of 2x squared minus 10x equals 10 to the 2.
100.
100.
What?
Oh, that's
Spoiler alert, Preston.
Yep.
Ruining the fun over here. Okay, so now we have no more logs, but now we have 2x squared minus 10x equals 100. Our goal is to solve for x. Question?
Would you subtract 100 to get trinomial?
I would subtract 100 to get a trinomial because when we see 2x squared and we see a 10x, we're going to be factoring, we're going to be quadratic formulating, we're going to be complete the squaring. Yep. 2x squared minus 10x minus 100 equals 0. Set it equal to 0. What's my next step?
Factoring.
What's my first step of factoring?
Take 2x and 2x squared. 2x.
Yes. That's not my first step.
They all have a common greatest common factor.
Greatest common factor, GCF. What? GCF?
This is the homework.
Three.
This is in the homework.
Literally one.
Greatest common factor.
Of the slide is 0.
Okay, factored out the greatest common factor. Keep going.
Oh, because
This is where you need the plus and minus.
So we got 2, we've got 2 parentheses. The parentheses are both going to have x and x. We've got 1 plus, 1 minus. Oh,
Plus 5 minus 10.
plus 5 minus 10. Everybody should know that.
And then we're going to do it to solve it.
The goal is to solve it. So what do we do now?
So 2 is 0. X is 0. What am I doing?
No, I don't know.
I don't know, it's too quiet though.
You know what?
You guys, no, don't even. What do we do now?
Pinch pop tomorrow.
Awesome.
Said all 3 equations equal to 0.
They're not equations, they're factors.
Factors.
So 2 equals 0, x plus 5 equals 0, x minus 10 equals 0. What happens when I say 2 equals 0?
It's not.
That's not a thing. X
Negative
is
five.
negative 5, x is 10.
So we have two answers.
Maybe.
We gotta check? No. I had no room to check.
Oh no, we
Yeah,
have to plug
check.
in to see which one is where. Oh my god.
Let's plug it in. You don't have to totally plug it in, but you need to plug them in. Let's go back up to the original question. My two answers were 5 and x equals 10. Okay, those were my two answers way at the bottom of my paper here. What happens if I plug in -5 for x?
You get 0, so you can't do that.
No, I don't get 0.
Oh, you get -10.
Here I get -10. Here I get -10. Can I do the log of a negative number?
Nope.
Well, then I get to reject that answer. It's not an answer.
I like that one.
Oh. So it has
So,
to be 10.
well, it doesn't have to be because we know solution. Let's plug in 10. I get log of 20. I get log of 5. Those are fine. If you really want to know if it's super checks, then you could type it in your calculator. But as long as I'm not getting negatives or zeros here, we can use the number. And hopefully we did our math right. Or you can really check it in your calculator. X equals 10 would be the only solution here.
We did all that for just 10.
Well, we didn't do
Oh.
all of that for just 10, but kind of. I mean, we did stuff all the way back to chapter 3 to find just 10. We used a lot of things to just find 10. Okay,
Can we do our homework?
I wanted to do one more of those.
Oh, no. I have no.
I mean,
I mean, you don't have room. There's more spots.
What if we do our homework and then we ask if we...
I was trying to see if, nope, there's not. That's not our homework. Let's just do kind of like the first couple steps. We don't have to go all the way and solve it, but let's kind of do the first few steps. Look at this one right here. What would I do first when we have a log 5x plus log of that?
Expansion.
No. Josh,
Come.
what did you say?
There's no bait there, so it's
Oh, so you
Wasn't
said
it compress?
exponentiate,
What's
which
it
is
called?
kind of what he said. No.
It's compressor or whatever.
Condense.
Condense, yeah.
You can't do the exponentiate unless this is one logarithm, which is why we did the first section.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, we did something.
What? Okay. So 5x times x minus 1, we do it with multiplication. Now we would exponentiate with the 10 to the on both sides. Okay, I'm not going to finish that one. I just wanted to go over condensing again. And guess what? I'm going to do condensing again, but I'm going to change the problem so you have a different looking problem to do condensing with, okay? Because there's some like this that I'm about to make up. There's some like this on our assignment. The one that I'm about to make up.
What's that? 10?
10 to the exponentiated. This is like a
Take
base
the
of 10.
plot that
No,
long.
no, I mean by the 2.
This is 110 to the second.
Oh, I didn't.
I know, because
10,
I did
11,
it fast.
100.
Okay, look, I'm going to change this question just slightly. I'm just changing that question slightly. There's the question. You see how I changed that question just slightly? You see how I changed that question just slightly? Jacob, did you see it?
How she changed the question just slightly?
I said it 4 times in a row.
How did you change the question slightly?
Okay, so when I go to exponentiate, no, I can't exponentiate.
You gotta condense.
I need to condense. So when I go to condense, how am I going to condense that?
To the 4.
What to the fourth?
No.
Divide, try.
Divide. So log base 4 of x plus 12 goes on top, x goes on the bottom, equals 3. So that's condensing. What would be our next step?
Then you
Back
can
or out? No,
evaluate.
take out the
4 on
log.
both sides.
Take the log out. Take the 4 out. Raise your
No, that's
4 on both sides.
So exponentiate, put a base of 4, right?
Yes.
To the whatever on both sides. Yes. So I'm going to do 4
Okay, I'm sorry.
to the log base 4 of x plus
Isn't that-
12 over x.
Is that 64, right?
On the other side?
Yeah.
Yes. 4 to the third. So my next step is, those cancel. X plus 12 over x equals 64. How do I solve that?
We need to exponentiate that.
Nope. There's no logs.
I
Multiply
would
by
say
x.
take the 2x stuff, then I would put 1.
You would have.
So I would
Multiply
do-
both sides of x.
I would say times x. But, times x.
Okay. So I'm going to explain it a different way, but multiply both sides by x is a completely fine explanation. So you guys who said that, that's fine. I'm just going to put this over 1 and also say you can cross multiply. Which is the same thing.
We're gonna do it.
I like
So
that.
I will get 64x equals x plus 12. I'm going to make that 63x equals 12, divide by 63.
How'd you get 63?
Yeah, hold on.
And I get x equals
Because you put
12
exactly the
over
x to the other
63.
side.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Subtract 1 from 64 to get 64.
Okay, and then I need to plug that back in and
Did
make
I
sure that
ask?
I don't get 0 or
Yes.
make sure
You really did just ask.
make sure I don't get 0, make sure I don't get a negative number, which I'm not going to.
Because you know it's right.
Because, well, I just kind of made it up, but.
Wait, can that simplify even
Wait,
more?
so she made it the answer.
Oh, yeah, that does simplify more, doesn't it? Because divide by 4.
You're giving out a bunch
mean,
of candy
3.
tonight.
4 divided by, 3 goes into 63, what, 21? Is that is right? Yeah.
4 over 20.
All right. Now I'm going to hand out your assignment.
Can you go back
It's
to
gonna
the
be
one
like
done?